See, this doesn't work. Here we go. Welcome back to another Habs Brunch, your Sunday rendezvous with your hockey coach, your coach Frenchy. Today, episode number 2, and we have a lot on the program for you guys. First of all, we want to thank each one of you to watch our Habs Brunch last week. It was really successful. Karen, she was great. Marco did a great job. But you guys did an amazing, great job with all the comments you did and all the likes you do for us during the week. So thanks so much for everything. But let's put a do to welcome back the co-host of the Habs Brunch, your Sunday rendezvous, Mr. Marco Larrabee.
Woo. Wow, it sounds so sexy when you roll the R's like that. I love it. Thank you, Coach.
There you go. That's one from Ottawa. There we go, Marco. Thank you to be with us. By the way, did you have your brunch already?
No brunch yet. I'm saving it as something to look forward to after the show. Just a couple of hard coffees and good to go.
That's awesome. We have a lot on the program, Marco, this week, and let's talking about the 3 subject or topic we have for the everybody for the Habs Brunch.
Yeah, very good. So again, yeah, thanks to everyone for watching episode 1. Really excited for this one. So huge week in Habs land. So we'll be looking, obviously, the naming of Nick Suzuki as the Habs next captain. So we'll kind of dig into that. Obviously, big week. Everybody excited about hockey being back. So we'll be looking at the rookie camp, the first 2 games, breaking everything. If you weren't able to catch everything, we'll break everything down for you there. Lots of stories to talk about there. And then obviously transitioning to the main camp, we have one more game at 12 today, immediately after the show. So good primer for you to go and watch the next game. Yeah, we'll be looking at what's ahead with the next camp.
That'd be awesome. We do have the first subject of the day. We're always talking about a warm-up, Mr. Marco. So let's jump in on the warm-up show topics of the day. Here we go. Welcome, Miss Karen HAINS from Montreal. She's with us for the second week of the Habs Brunch. She was successful last week. Everybody asked about us, about you, Karen. About you, what you did in the past, like a hockey boss. But they rate you, and they said to us he was really impressed by your work. So we just want to sharing a couple of comments we got from the people in the chat. So thanks so much to be with us, by the way, for the second week of the Habs Brunch.
Well, it's always nice to get nice feedback like that. Thank you very much to the people who watched, and I'm happy to be back. I actually really had fun last week doing this, so yeah.
That's awesome. And Marco, anything you want to add before we start on the warm-up?
No, I think, Coach, everybody's just excited to watch hockey again. You know, like we had some games to kind of get into. Such an exciting week for Hockey Nation Live too. Really your shows every night been getting a lot of views, a lot of people coming in to talk about the game. So just excited to actually watch some hockey. So,
You're absolutely right about this, Marco. First of all, I want to remind everybody, after the show at 12 o'clock p.m., we are back with the Hockey Nation Live show. We're doing the game live streaming, the game number 3 between the Montreal Canadiens versus the Ottawa Senator prospect. So we invite everybody to join us after this show. Karen, you want to talk about something happening yesterday, and I think touch about one assistant coach for the Montreal Canadiens, like development coach.
Yeah, actually, yesterday there was a public signing with Marie-Philippe Poulain in Canadiac at Collect Edition ACA certification. And so I went there to meet the greatest female hockey player of all time, if you ask me. And she was really, really friendly, taking the time with the kids, taking pictures and all that. And I had time to, talk to her just a little bit when I got her to sign some autographs. And it's funny, I had a nameplate, a locker room nameplate from the Habs to get signed by her, and I was allowed to get one inscription on there. So I asked her to inscribe it with Captain Clutch. And I said, nice. Do we like this nickname? And she was like, no, we do not. I've never seen someone so humble. She hates being told how clutch she is because, for her, it's all about the team. It's not about her. I don't think I've ever seen someone be so humble, honestly. And yeah, she's great. And I also confirmed with her that she will be in Montreal at the Centre 2102 on October 15 and 16 for the PWHPA showcase, where the best female hockey players will be playing that weekend. I invite everyone to go and check that out. Poulain will be there, Sarah Nurse will be there, Fillier will be there, all the big names of Team Canada and Team USA as well. So yeah, that's something else to look forward to on top of the season.
Is this something you're going to follow up during the with hockey bars, or do you have some article you're going to do during the year?
Yeah, I actually had another username created on HockeyBuzz to cover female hockey. I did it last year when I went to that showcase, but it wasn't as successful, I think, because it was an Olympic years and the big names weren't there. So, the crowd was a little bit of a letdown. I'm hoping this year there'll be more people in place and, people are really going to buy into this. I'm not sure if people actually realize that, there's a new team that's going to start in Montreal, the Force, but that league, that team is actually linked to the league in America, which the big players don't want to play in because the pay, the pension plan, and insurance and all that is not good enough. So I don't think people realize that the big names won't be in that league this year because they just think it's not sustainable for them to do that as a career, because once you retire, you're left with nothing. You didn't get a chance to save up or anything. Mm. So yeah, Marie-Philippe Poulain, Larry Knight, Kendall Cone, Schofield, they won't be in that league. And yeah.
Wow.
It was a
go ahead, Marco.
It was a big summer for women's hockey, right? So obviously huge performance by Team Canada, but then you have Sarah Nurse on the cover of the new EA 2023 game, so that's awesome. I know she doesn't like being called Captain Clutch, but when you say ultimately, I think she's probably not the most clutch female hockey player of all time, but the most clutch hockey player of all time, period, regardless of sex, right? So great. That must have been pretty exciting to have a chance, and it doesn't surprise me at all that she's very humble, because every time you hear her talk, it's all about the team. So not surprising, but must have been a great chance to meet with her.
Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome. Marco, we think it's time to start with our first subject of the day, but I think we have to reach Martin Saint-Louis. He's going to tell us what we're going to talk about for the next subject of the day.
Leadership is a big part of the success, and for the hockey team, for us, I think the most important position of leadership is in that locker room, and we're very fortunate to d'avoir des très bons leaders alentour. Et puis aujourd'hui, on annonce cette décision que le prochain capitaine du Canadien de Montréal, ça va être Nick Suzuki.
Bonjour, bon matin. C'est un honneur de devenir capitaine du Canadien de Montréal. It's a true honor for me and a privilege, and this team's heading in a great direction, and couldn't be more excited to be the captain and represent the team.
Here we go. He was Nick Suzuki, the new captain, the 31st captain of the history of the Montreal Canadiens. Tell us a bit more about your impression about this selection.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was a huge surprise. I think we talked about it last week. Some of us were pretty sure, but there's still an interesting debate. But I think overall the reaction from everyone was pretty well received. I think we can dig into some of the reactions. Unfortunately, the news comes in the midst of a political campaign election in Quebec, unfortunately. So, Karine, I'd be curious to hear your take, living in Quebec. All the firestorm, I guess, around the language debate. What were your thoughts, observing it from a perspective of someone who lives in Quebec?
Well, it's not really a new debate in Quebec, is it? We always get it whenever the Habs appoint a new coach, the whole he's got to speak French, blah, blah, blah. But on the captain front, I mean, since every politician is on the campaign trail, they all went, he has to learn French. And I'm sorry, I don't agree. I'm French Canadian. I think the language is important. That's why I always write in both French and English. But my job is to communicate. So it's normal to ask me to do it in both language. This guy's job is not to communicate, it's to lead the team. well, to communicate with his teammates, of course, but he can do that just fine in English because they all speak English. That's the language that they do their work in, and that's just normal. But to ask the guy to actually speak French when he speaks to the people of Quebec, I think it's unrealistic. I'm not sure people realize that if you want to speak and be fluent in language, it takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment. And when you're a public figure like Nick Suzuki is, I mean, there's the worry that you're going to be misquoted as well, that you're not going to express yourself properly because it's in a second language. And, so I thought that was really annoying to hear the politicians say that he has to. So I actually tweeted something. I said, Nick Suzuki's main job is not to communicate. It's to lead the Habs to the 25th Stanley Cup. Julie Snyder's job is to communicate. And yet the first one should have to learn French while she doesn't have to learn English. Please, enough already. And I got a lot of hate on Twitter for that because apparently I was
I was following
Julie
that.
Snyder.
Yeah,
apparently I was hating on Julie Snyder because I said she should learn English to be able to interview her guest properly, and that's hateful. But saying that Suzuki needs to learn French is not hateful. So yeah, it was a fun week on Twitter for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I noticed that you definitely got a lot of action on that tweet. But that's to me, that's probably the most baffling part, right? Is so as coach just played his first words, literally the first words out of his mouth were in French. So you imagine that would have satisfied a lot of people. And then on top of that, then I think Chantal Machabée did a great job with the rollout. He's on a whole bunch of different TV shows, Antichambre. They actually made him answer the whole show was in French. He was listening to the show, being able to understand all the questions in French. He obviously responded in English, but to me, like, they made every effort possible to make it clear that this was a commitment, that they knew that it was important that he'd be able to communicate a little bit with the French fans. So listen, you can't please everyone. I think the Habs did a really good job, making that effort and putting it forward. Coach, it is what it is. Like I said, just bad timing that this happens during a political election. It's just kind of bad timing from that perspective. But overall, I think the rollout went really well. Everybody seems to be, supporting the move. Let's do a roundtable real quick here to figure out, like, Coach. I know that there was some discussion around Edmondson and Gallagher, but overall, what's your take on them?
Yeah,
Finalizing
but
on
first
Suzuki?
of all, I think he's going to be surrounded with great veterans players like Brendan Gallagher and Jordan Munson. And like you said at the beginning, Karen just constantly said the same thing. It's like, we knew he was going, and for me, I knew Suzuki is going to be the next one. It's the right choice. He have a new contract coming start this year, and his maturity and is so high. Many players said, his behavior is almost like a guy like 28, 30 years old. Been with Montreal Canadiens for over 3 years, and every summer he leave and downtown in Montreal. So I think he's a part of the community now and the Montreal, and I think he's the right pick for the Montreal for the future. And between you and me, I believe you guys, the transition right now, it's not like so much important. The team is still on the development side, and whatsoever he make mistake as a captain, like the players or the rookie make mistakes, it's the same way with Nick Suzuki. So I'm not worried too much about this. I think it's a great pick, great selection for Martin St. Louis. I like the fact this coming again, not from the players, but now it's coming from the management of hockey and the way they did. I really like it. Martin St. Louis did not put any pressure on him. He asked him to take his time. He called Shea Weber, talked with Carey Price and other people, the family member around him, and then he took his decision. And I think that was the right way. And I'm just impressed by what they do, the Montreal Canadiens now, the staff management, how they make some great behavior of the positivity of the great culture they want to bring on this table for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess last point. So I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but again, there's criticism that, whenever you make your best player the captain, then there's, new contract starting next year, all those elements adding to the pressure. again, like I think I mentioned last week, is because Suzuki does more than just produce points. He can win faceoffs. He can, play well, shut down the other team's top line or whatever, right? Like he can contribute in other ways. So I'm a little less concerned if he goes through a 6-7 game period where he's a bit cold. Then I still think he can stand up in the dressing room and talk to the team, lead by example. So I think it's going to be different. Like you're right, Coach. I think what's been said about him is that he's never too high, never too low. You can tell just by the way that he talks that he's a very kind of even kill guy. So I think we have the right guy. I'm just glad, that they were able to do it at the golf tournament, so we could stop debating about it. It seems like it's been like 2 weeks since they announced it, so maybe let's move to the more recent news. Everybody's probably excited to hear, but sorry, one other point there, Kenan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that my one concern with Suzuki was, is he ready, type of thing. And the first thing both alternate captains, Edmondson and Gallagher, said when they came out talking was how mature he is and how ready he is for the role. So clearly, the guys are behind him, everyone's supporting him. But I can't help but feel a bit sorry for Gallagher, though. I mean, I wasn't surprised when Kent Hughes said that when he told Gally that Suzuki would be would be captain. Gallagher actually said, "That's okay. It's Nick's team now. I'll carry on being a leader." And then when he
Yeah.
spoke to the media, Gallagher actually said, "Well, the guy is the heartbeat of our team. We're ready to go to battle. We're ready to follow him, and that's that." And I think it's just great that he described him as the heartbeat of the team, because there was a while there where Gallagher was the heartbeat of that team, but he kind of recognizes that, hey, it's Suzuki's time now, and his chance to be captain kind of passed, and he's fine with it. And I think that's the proof that he's such a good team player. So yeah, I think the right choice was made in the end, and that he's going to be well surrounded.
You're absolutely right,
Yeah,
Karen. I think the disappointment possible for Gallagher, but overall, he showed exactly what you said. He showed kind of teammate he is, and he's with the Montreal Canadiens. He played with the logo in front of him, and that's what is the most important thing. That's what we like the Gallagher, and I think he did a very good. The words he applied for about Nick Suzuki.
Yeah, and we saw what happens when you have a captain that's not really matching your window anymore with the Jets and Blake Wheeler and everything. So
Yeah.
it's important to get it right. It's always so messy if you have to kind of make a change midstream, right? So I think they did it's a safe choice. It's the right choice. It matches their window. And you're right, Gally, is a warrior, and I was 100% on board of giving the captaincy to Gallagher when Weber came on. I think he deserved it, but that ship has sailed. So yeah, very exciting. This happened early next week, so I think everybody's eager for us to jump into the news of the day, or kind of what we've just witnessed over the last couple of days. So, Coach, why don't we pivot to the rookie camp? Everybody's excited. Hockey is back. Actually, get to watch some games. Was it 250,000 people or 25,000 people or whatever? How many watched it on YouTube? Just incredible, right?
Yes, it was unbelievable to see that 27,000 at some point watching game number one. Honestly, in Buffalo for the Montreal Canadiens. That shows exactly what Montreal is all about.
Yeah.
The fans. 27
Yeah.
watching just a rookie game. Wow, that's impressive about that one.
Not just a rookie game as well. It was a game that was broadcasted without the arena sound. It was just one guy doing the play-by-play, stripped of any sound from the arena, and yet Habs fans are like, "Yes, hockey." Yeah, yards.
It makes such a big difference, the arena sounds, though. I think we were kind of all going back and forth on Twitter between each other, trying to find the feed for the second game. And so I think Coach, you shared the New Jersey feed with me. And even though it was the New Jersey play-by-play guys, it was funny because they don't know any of the Habs prospects. So they're like, that Owen Beck guy, is he a defenseman or a center? We're not sure, but he looks good. And they kept talking about how he was back-checking. But even though it was Chico Resch too, right? Chico Resch is pretty legendary play-by-play guy. But it was fun to watch, definitely with the arena sounds. So yeah, really exciting stuff. So lots to talk about over the first couple games. We're 0-2. reason for concern, guys? Like time to restart the rebuild, scrap it all because we 0-2 in the tournament so far. Like, what's your first impressions of the tournament?
No, I mean, it's just a rookie tournament. You don't really care if you win or you lose. All you want to see is how players are doing, how they're developing. There's no point in keeping score in a rookie tournament, to be honest. So I'm not in a panic mode at all. I like what I'm seeing. I like the young guys that we've got coming up. I think there were several good picks at this year's draft, and the future's bright. Yeah.
Absolutely, Coach. Did you want to? Maybe we can go through and look at kind of the results, and you can walk us through the first couple games.
Yeah, first of all, for game number one, it was between the prospect Montreal Canadiens versus the Buffalo Sabres. A great game overall. It was the first game, honestly, from Slavkovsky with the Montreal Canadiens, so everybody was watching him during the game. And then Philippe Mézard, but I think Owen Beck stepped up during that game number one. Great performance overall. Not good enough to get that W. They tried to come back at the last couple of minutes of the game, but honestly, Buffalo find a way to beat the Montreal Canadiens by the score 4-3. Verbedik, it was between the pipe, and then the scorer for the Montreal Canadiens, the first one was Emil Henneman. Players was involved with a trade with Tyler Toffoli from the Calgary Flame, and we know he was drafted by the Florida Panthers. He got traded again, Sam Bennett, a couple of years ago. So then after that, you got Philippe Mézard score a goal on the short-ended. Great play by Slavkovsky. You show is the way he built and he still the puck and he's so strong. And then finally the third goal came from Owen Beck, an amazing great goal for him and diving. And that's the 3 goal of the game for the Habs for the game number one.
Yeah, like well, Kevin, let's get your thoughts on some of the performances and kind of what you noticed in that first game.
Well, obviously the play that Coach spoke about, Slavkovsky going hard to the corner, neutralizing 2 guys and just feeding Mazar all alone in on the goalie. That was a great play. I like that. I think, I've got to agree with some of the Montreal media who actually asked Slavkovsky, aren't you trying to do too much? And I thought, well, great. It's the rookie camp and he's already getting a taste of the Montreal media. I thought he handled it well, to be honest. It was like, well, yeah, my goal is to win. I always want to win, so I do everything I can to win. But yeah, he did a lot of individual efforts out there that sometimes maybe was ill-advised. So that's what I'll be looking to see this time around today at noon, if he's going to be, thinking a bit differently and trying to use his teammates a bit more, because yeah, his enthusiasm meant that he was going for it all alone at times and might not have been the best idea. I was also impressed when there was this big open ice hit in the Sabres territory where one of the defensemen just tried to actually absolutely rocked him, but Slavkovsky was like a wall. He just absorbed the shock and was like, yeah, what else is new? He does the puck, but it was unmovable on his skates, and I was like, wow, we've got a solid guy here. So yeah, I
he's gonna have to be careful though. Like with those, he made me nervous. He hopefully he learns from that. Like luckily that wasn't Jacob Trouba that kind of caught him in the middle of the ice there. But yeah, he's gonna have to be really careful. Good learning lesson not to cut in the middle of the ice. But any other players other than the Slavkovsky that jumped out at you, Kevin?
Well, I think Owen Beck has been kind of a revelation for me. I must admit, I didn't know the player, but looking at him work, the way he's winning so many face-offs is really impressive. His awareness on the ice as well. It's like his head is on a swivel. He always seems to know who's where and how to use his teammates. And in the second game as well, he was really good. There was a turnover type of thing. Then he was fed in front of the net. He showed great power to protect the puck and then score on the goalie. So yeah, Owen Beck has been kind of a standout for me so far. I don't know if he'll be playing today, but I would definitely give him an A on that rookie camp so far. That's quite something since he was only just drafted. So yeah, I think we've got a great one there. Well, if he carries on the way he started. And I also quite like Jordan Harris. I think Harris he's been impressive so far. He's got good footwork. His mobility is nice. He's hard to beat for the opponent. For the other team has got trouble getting past him. And he's got a lot of strength as well, even though he's not the biggest one. I think when you compare Harris and Norlander, you kind of see that, Aris is a notch above. Norlander is not quite as far as he should be in his development, and that's a shame, but I just don't think he cuts it compared to Aris.
Talking about Jordan Harris, can we listen to him what he said about the first game, his impression during the first game?
Let's do it.
I feel pretty much myself. It's been a lot of fun to get out there. Like all summer. It's great you get to work on skills in your game, but there's nothing like, the physicality of a real game and the compete level. And, unfortunately, we didn't pull that one out. And I really thought we had that one in the end, but it's a lot of fun and just honestly happy to be out there.
Well, Jordan Harris, you're absolutely right, Kieran. For me, he's maybe the best, the most consistency player for the first two games for the Montreal Canadiens. You can see he is really adapt. He's a very smart hockey player, first of all, very smart human being, and he can adapt with the speed of the game. And I really like this play for the first two games. Of course, he will have to learn more, but for me, he really do really good job for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, watching that interview, I don't know if you guys had a chance, but he was on the Knuckles podcast, I think last week. Such a smart kid, man. He's so wise beyond his years and just really good at self-evaluation as well. So I think you're right, Coach. Like out of all the defensemen, you can see that he's choosing to make probably a bit safer plays. Like he knows exactly what the coaches are looking for. If this was Game of Thrones, like he knows the game, right? Like he knows exactly, okay, so I want to showcase some of my skill, but I don't want to make any massive turnovers, just be in the right position, wait for my time. So you can see it's not his first camp. Or is it? Like was he in camp before? Because he was in college. Is this his first camp?
I don't think he was, because he was in the NCAA.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
exactly.
So this is his first camp. So that's even more impressive, right? Like first camp. But he understands kind of what he's doing. Just on Owen Beck before we move on from him, you guys remember the inside video that we saw during the draft where they were kind of talking about him, and there was that kind of debate between Martin Lapointe and Gorton about choosing players who are character players that high in the draft, and Gorton was like, that's good, but you have to be careful with those guys, like because if they don't have huge production in the minors, will it really kind of transform in, at the pro game, right? So yes, he might be kind of a good two-way player, but usually players that will play in the NHL have a lot of offensive output at the lower levels, right? So when I saw that, I was like, like I hadn't seen a lot of Owen Beck. The player that immediately kind of came to mind was, this is going back a while, but a Kyle Chipchura, Ryan Poehling kind of guy, that good character guy, Team Canada captain, but just never really had it at the top level, right? But after seeing Owen Beck play for a couple games, my opinion is a bit different. I think I'll be following him a lot during the year.
Did you hear his post-game comments, Beck?
Sorry, what was that?
Did you hear his post-game comments, Beck? He actually said, I came here to show what I can do, so I did what I do. I won a lot of face-offs, and I actually, mixed in a little offense as well, so that the naysayers see I can do that too. So he's aware that people are questioning his offensive input, and he was like, yeah, I scored goals. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's very impressive. What about, we talked a little bit about Norlinder. So I think Norlinder, he has those flashes where you just like, especially in the offensive zone, where he'll kind of snake around guys, find like this sneaky little seam here and there to make a really nice play. But then he just has these massive lapses, where he doesn't even look like he's trying along the boards. What's been your take, Kenan, so far on Norlinder's tournament?
Well, to be honest, it's not his first time at camp. I thought he should have been better than he is right now. He's better than he was last year, but I don't think it's good enough, quite frankly. He's a bit older. I think, what is he, 22? When, other guys are younger, like Justin Barron's only 20, and I think that he seems to me to be ahead of Norlinder, to be honest. So
Yeah.
It's a shame because Norlinder is a right shot defenseman, but I look at him and I'm like, yeah, I much prefer to have Jordan Harris playing on his offside, the right side, rather than putting Norlinder in the lineup. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think Norlinder is left as well, but Coach, why don't we go? So let's talk about game two. So we had some nice performances in game one. Why don't you break down game two for us, and then we can kind of open it up and talk about all the prospects.
Yeah, so game two, honestly, it was a game without Safkovsky, Barron, and Mizak. The three, the player was not, they was in the lineup game number one. Now they was out, and they bring some players like John and Dubois in the lineup. And they bring Philippe Mazar as a center and not as a winger play on the first line. And look, again, he did it. He scored another goal. And then William Trudeau scored the first goal of the game for the Montreal Canadiens. Then Mazar gave the lead for the Montreal 2-1. And then Owen Beck did the same thing, gave the lead at the middle of the third period, but not good enough because Alexandre Oles show why the reason was to draft first round pick by the New Jersey Devils a couple of years ago. And from teammate at Lucas Raymond for Sweden. And he scored a tight game at the last couple of minutes before the end of the game. And then he scored the first one at the overtime goal, winning goal game, and OT on a power play. And really amazing, great shot. Again, Mercer, the goaltender, brother of Dawson Mercer for the New Jersey Devils. So that was the final score, 4-3 and OT. But again, the two best players of the first game for me was Beck and Mazar. They did the same thing in the second game. Each one of them scored another goal at the second of the tournament.
Yeah, Heineman a little bit more quiet, I felt in the second game. But you're right. Mazar and Owen Beck maintain and if not maybe even increase their level. I was actually pretty impressed with Mercer's game. He had a couple of nice saves. I didn't really know a lot about him, but really nice game. So that was fun to watch. Kegan, any kind of standouts for you in game two, other than the obvious like Mazar?
For me, it would have to be Mazar, yeah, because it was great to see how comfortable he was playing center, and also he's really good at finding the net, knowing where to place himself to go and score. This is actually a power play goal that he scored, and you can see he was at the blue line, and then he kind of weaved his way through all the way to front of the net. And he was in the right position to bury that one. And he's got good instincts, really, because you see he's just like circling. I'm going here, the paying zone, and boom, goal. So, yeah, he's got good awareness. I like him. I like him a lot. And I'm glad to see that it doesn't seem to be an issue for him, the North American ice either. The difference in size with international ice doesn't seem to be an issue. So, yeah, I think it's good. However, unlike Slavkovsky, he's not fully physically mature yet. I think there are rumors that he'll be heading to the OHL this season, and I don't have a problem with that. Because clearly he's got a lot of talent offensively. You don't want him to be stuck in Laval behind other guys and end up on the fourth line. So sending him to the OHL would make sense. We would have a lot of ice time, would be the go-to guy on the team. So yeah, I'd be happy with that if that's what they decide is best for his development.
Where would he go? He's Kingston?
No, Kitchener Rangers.
Kitchener.
Do you know
Marco?
Marco?
Martin?
Rangers, yeah.
Jacques Martin's going there, right?
Yeah. Do you know, Marco, we are lucky to have Karen?
No.
Do you know she's smart? She knows hockey a lot. Like, I'll just listen to her is exactly the reason he's going to OHL. Too many players in Montreal, first of all. Too many players forward in Laval, and to let him play 12 minutes or 4 line. Better to let him play in OHL, North America, to learn about the culture and to learn about the North America size of the rink. So you nail it again, Karen. Just let you know.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But I think his preference is probably AHL. But I think the management team will do a good job to let him know exactly what the plan is for him, and I'm sure he'll buy in. He seems like a good kid, but I think that is the right place for him. Absolutely. So yeah, other than game two, I guess one other guy we haven't really talked about a little bit under the radar was William Trudeau. think he had a really nice 2 games. Interestingly enough, they had him in both games. unheralded guy. Like he's like a 6th round pick, William Trudeau. So pretty nice, project for the Habs. Like big, he's got good size, nice mobility. Yeah, here's the nice little play. Like obviously being able to jump up and see that opening, but overall just really good positionally. Big man. He's like 6'2", 6'3", and can skate. What are your thoughts on what you saw from William Trudeau so far, Kieran?
Yeah, I think he put in a good, solid effort. It wasn't a standout, but he didn't stand out for the wrong reasons either. So he played good games. He's seems to be very reliable defenseman. He didn't steal the show, but sometimes it's a good thing not to be noticed by a defenseman, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah. Coach?
William is great for the, everybody talk always about the Nylander, the Baron, everything like that. I think he's another wild card. And is a guy built a little bit like Arbour, where he's not recognized a lot. He go under the radar and nobody talk a lot, but you can see he jump in the play, very smart players, and that's the reason he score. And the game now is about to anticipate the play in front of you before it's happening. When Kevin talked about Mazar, he saw the hole in the middle of the ice. So when he go from the D, coming back in the middle, he see the hole right there, and he go right away. It's the same thing happening with William Trudeau on the goal. But at one point we did not talk, and I apologize for game number 1. He did not play game number 2, and it's Arbour. I think we need to hear talk about each one of you. Tell us a bit more about Arbour. His first performance, first game with the Montreal Canadiens, another undrafted players like Martin St. Louis, and an amazing, great Memorial Cup last June with the Hamilton Bulldog.
I was saving Jack-Eye for dessert. Go ahead, Kevin, because I love this guy, so I was saving him for last.
I love this guy too. I think that's a perfect example of a guy who works hard tirelessly, and he earned himself a contract at training camp last year, and what you see is what you get. He's a big guy, he's a solid guy, he's a safe defenseman. But I watched him a bit in the Memorial Cup last playoff season, and it was great to see that he actually added some offense to his game, kind of to say, I'm not just a stay-at-home guy, I can do more than that. And I think there's a lot more to it. I really hope he makes it. I like the kid. He's got good enthusiasm, and he reminds me a bit of Romanov like that. He's a hard worker, and he's got a love for the game that shows. So yeah.
He reminds me a lot of Ben Sherratt, actually, just because he brings that physicality. He has surprisingly good mobility for a big guy, and probably rushes the puck more than he should. But it's good that it's a element of his game that he's interested in developing, and he does it. But maybe he does it a bit too much. In game 1, we saw his gaps and also kind of some of his pinches were a little too aggressive. I think it may have resulted at least in 1 goal, if not 2, if I remember correctly. But I think if you able to temper his enthusiasm a little bit with the right coaching, this guy I think is going to be something special. Like just the intimidation factor that he brings. There's not a lot of big intimidating defensemen in the game anymore coming along like this guy. He's got the little goatee. You can see I like guys with goatees, right? He's got the little goatee, little Austin Matthews mustache. Just the whole vibe of this guy. I just love him. So really excited to see. Hopefully he plays again this afternoon.
What about Justin Barron?
I'll let Kevin go first on this one.
If you were to ask me to grade the defenseman, I think Barron I would give a B so far. I wasn't overly impressed with him. He didn't make too many mistakes, but he came behind Harris for me. Harris was best, and then Barron was better than Nylander, but I think Barron still needs some seasoning in the AHL. Decision making wise, I think he could use that time.
I think Coach and I have been debating this one for the last couple of weeks, but so one thing I'll take into consideration is that this was his first game since the injury that he had at the end of the season with the Habs, right? So, but he's been practicing, by the way, with Crosby and McKinnon, which is pretty awesome advantage to his skates that he has in Nova Scotia over the summer. So all that taken into consideration, he hasn't played in a while. The thing that worries me about him is just his stability on his skates a little bit. Like he kind of reminds me a little bit about like KK when he first had those couple of training camps, right? Like looking a bit kind of like Bambi, where he's not super solid on his skates. Like he's a great skater, like he's got good speed, but I find his pivots are a bit rusty a little bit. Like there's a couple times where some guys turned on him and he had to his pivot was kind of off. I see him losing balance just in weird places, like just a little shove, and he, I just think Bambi, right? Like his legs just kind of separate, and he whoops falls to the ground. So I agree with Kegan. Like I think he has really good tools, and I think he will be an NHL caliber defenseman. But I'm concerned just because it seems because he's the right hand shot, they're really looking. There's certain people that think he might be playing with Edmondson or something like that on a first or second pair. I don't know. It's not again. I don't care if we lose games just because some of the young defensemen make mistakes. That's all part of that. I understand that. I'm just concerned for his own development, right? Like, just don't want to put him in a position where he's going to struggle and look bad. So that's my concern with him. I think a little more seasoning. Maybe he plays 20, 25 games this year. I think would be the right mix for him. But
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
mean,
He's going to play
no, but
50 games, 60 games with Montreal Canadiens.
he's only 20, though. You don't
Exactly.
want to make another Victor Mete out of him. Don't throw him in the deep end of the pool and leave him to sink or swim. Please give him time. He's only 20. Learning curve on D.
yeah,
I think behind Kenan Cooley right now, he's the best defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. He's better to Jordan Harris and long term. And I think,
long term, maybe. Yeah,
yeah, because he's only 20 years old. But you talk
yeah,
about his shot better to Jordan. His shot is better. His crossover on the blue line backwards to move the puck on offensive zone, power play, is pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I wish Norlander could become better because I think Norlander have the best asset on the check all the box of what Martin said we like, the transition players, the move the puck. And power play is pretty good as a quarterback. But again, his concussion injury, the last 18 months make him way easy right now. And if unfortunately that could be the end for him or never been reached the next level to play in NHL, unfortunately, I don't see could happen to him. But inconsistency is another one for him. When he show up, look what he did. After one period, he was nowhere, and then he come back stronger, better. But he have to play 60 minutes for Norlander. But would be really interesting. Finally, I think one player I want to talk about before we move to the next subject of the program today is Xavier Simoneau. I think Simoneau showed to us a couple of great. His speed, he's smart, he can distribute the puck. He's really a good hockey player. Better what I thought for me. I didn't watch him a lot last season. I watched more the OHL. So for me, Owen Beck was not like surprise for me. I knew already it would be great. And I always consider him the Philippe Dano 2.0 from Montreal Canadiens, same like Joan last year, a couple of months ago. But Simoneau was really impressive for me for the size he is and play a silly game with Jan Mizak the first game.
Yeah, yeah. Like he's okay. Like I'm surprised we didn't talk about Misak more as well too. Like I think that's a pretty important prospect for us. Moving this year. What were your thoughts, like Kieran, on Simoneau, and what did you think of Misak as well too?
Well, Jan Mysak, I think, could have used the second game. He only played the first one, didn't he? Hopefully, we see
Yeah,
him in
yeah,
the third one as well, so he's able to do himself justice. But I didn't think he was a standout in the first game. As for Simoneau, yeah, I agree with Coach. He did well, especially for a guy his size. He's only 5'7". I mean, that's actually smaller than me. So, to play in the professional hockey at that size and be able to have that kind of performance, yeah, it's impressive. I don't know if he'll fit in with the new look Canadians because I think the new management likes big guys. Big guys are solid on their skates and can move fast. Simoneau doesn't really, meet the big criteria, but he can move well. So it'll be interesting to see if he can wiggle his way in, sort of thing. He's 21 now, so I think he's headed to
yeah.
Laval. next
Yeah, I
season,
think
and
so
we'll
too.
see what happens there. Yeah.
Yeah, he had no contract
So
with Montreal Canadiens, by the way. So just want to mention
yeah.
that part. But let's move on for the game number 3. It's going to start the next couple hours, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, again at Ottawa Senator. And today is going to be the welcome back Kenan Cooley with the Montreal Canadiens. And I think Cooley would be interesting to watching him. And let's listen what he said during the press conference yesterday.
Just knew I was going to come here and maybe see one game and see how it went, and then skate and practice to see how all that went. So I'm excited to get in tomorrow. Had a little bit of a lower body injury going on since the run there, so I'm just trying to keep that in good shape, and just being a little bit extra conservative with it, and trying not to make it worse. And long season ahead of me, first pro season hopefully. So.
Yeah, he's going to be, for me, is really the one I'm looking for, because I believe he's the best players for the Montreal Canadiens as a rookie or prospect for the future. At this moment, we did not see yet Logan Mailloux, but that's a subject for another time. So let me now tell me more about what you expect from Kenan.
Well, I expect a lot from Kenan Goulet, really, because watching him play junior, he was dominating. There's a sense that people think he might be ready to do the jump right away this season, and I want to see what he can do with, opposition that's also aiming for the NHL, not just a junior. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him play, and I think he brings a very big physicality element. So I think he'll be one to watch, and if he is ready, I've got no problem seeing him make the jump this year. I think he's a mature kid, and it shows in the way he talks and the way he acts on the ice. So yeah, it'll be interesting to watch for sure.
First of all, I love the new flow that Caden Goulet's got going on. He's got the really nice style going there. So nice growth over the summer. But I agree, like out of all the prospects, he's the one I think that's the most NHL ready. Arguably him and Slavkovsky, just overall, just because of their size, the way their strength and everything, and their maturity level. So yeah, I think this is the guy I was waiting to see. I feel his likelihood of him making the team are very high. Going into this year. So we'll see how it goes. Like hopefully he's had a chance to kind of skate a lot, and kind of he did have that long run in the playoffs last year, so that's probably taken a bit of a toll. So they want to make sure that he got a couple practices in before he played. So really excited to see that. Another thing to look forward to for tonight was, Kevin, I think you shared this with me. I think Grant McCagg, who is also watching that New Jersey Devils feed for that second game, heard something that the announcer had heard that Slavkovsky wasn't going to play another game in the tournament. So looks like that wasn't true. It looks like Slavkovsky is going to play today as well. So all the headliners that you want to see. Do we have a final roster for today yet?
I don't think it's out yet. I'll check Canadiens Twitter just to
I didn't see that
it's...
for me. Like, honestly, I'm right here, so I don't know the Twitter account, but maybe one of you could do that. Could watch.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
Nothing
well, Coach,
yet. I mean,
it looks
we
like
know that Goulet and will be it, but that's it.
Yeah. So look forward to that. I think last week, guys, like 5 minutes after our show is when they released the rookie camp roster. So I was hoping not to get scooped again this week. So let's take a look before we wrap today. So let's see if we can announce the roster, see if it's up. We'll check Twitter before we stop recording today to make sure everybody gets that updated information. But Coach, anybody else that you wanted to? So we're wrapping. So exciting game for today. We'll see who's going to be there, but looks like there's going to be a lot of headliners leading to the main camp starting September 21st. Really excited about this. I think a lot of the storylines that we're following in the rookie camp, mainly around the competition for those potentially 3 open spots on the Habs back end. So we're going to see a lot of continuing storylines go into the main camp here. There's going to be some new, like if we're talking Game of Thrones again, some new contenders coming into the game. Like Madison Bowie all of a sudden is now in the conversation. We have other players that are in that kind of like top 10 in the defense depth chart for the Canadiens. So Kevin, what are some of the things that you're, obviously we'll see how this game goes today, but what are you looking for, and what are some things that you're predicting you're going to see when the main camp starts on September 21st?
What you mean? Who's gonna get an invite to the main camp?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Aris, Baron, Goulet for sure, Slavkovsky, Mazar, and Beck. That's 6 that for sure should be there. I'm hoping Jakai as well and Heinemann, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's going to be a couple of I always forget his name. Like, who is the guy that they brought over again from Europe, the left-handed Finnish?
Keskinen?
Leskinen, yeah. So he's going to be another guy so you have already, Leskinen, you're going to have Madison Bowie that's going to kind of come and play for that potentially, 6 defensive kind of spot in the bottom pair. So it should be interesting to see some of those battles in camp. Coach, any kind of storylines that you're looking to as the camp starts here next week?
Yeah, I just want to give a little bit more the schedule of the week. So first of all, the rookie camp are traveling tonight after the game today. They're going to be back on Montreal, practice tomorrow and Tuesday. And then from them, they're going to get an invitation to go there. I think on the list of Karen said, I think Arbour is going to be another one, going to be invited with Norlander. And no problem. Heinemann will be in with that because they honestly make up at least 3 teams at the beginning, the first couple of days. The 21st is all about physical tests. And then the 22nd, they are going to start to have their practice on the ice. And I think the first game could be 26. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but it's going to be very quickly. So, and then you're going to see after that player return and they're going to cut their player. But that's happening for the preview of the main camp for the Montreal Canadiens. Honestly, the battle is only going to be on the defenseman side and not on the forward because it's already jam defensive. So we'll see. I want to see what's happening with Kenan Cooley. Is really the one I'm looking for. I think Baron and Aris are really locked on my side. But what happening with Kenan Cooley? Because after that, it's going to have a big decision. They cannot go with 8 defensemen. So it will be interesting if what they're going to do, maybe because it's too jam everywhere, Caden could start with the Laval Rocket and keep Sheneman and the team for the beginning of the season. But I believe anyway it's going to be a carousel all year long. They're going to go back and forth because many of them are on the waiver exam. So that's what really I'm looking for the main camp this week. And then of course, how long you going to stay there? Owen Beck and Mazar and Heinemann is another one. I want to say Heinemann. I know you have no spot for him. Then same thing with Pinard, Harvey Pinard and Elonen. I don't see they can make it, unfortunately. Only the injuries could make them at some point to return with the Montreal Canadiens. But at the end of the day, those players I just mentioned is to leave a great impression to the staff management. And that's the only thing they can do at this moment for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, that's what they'll be aiming to do, kind of leave a calling card so that, if somebody goes down, they're the first one called. But you make a good point saying that there'll be a carousel this year. And going back to the captaincy announcement when I think it was you who said that, we want stability in the leadership group. We're giving the A to Gallagher, Edmondson, and the C to Suzuki because there'll be a lot of kids going back from Laval and to Montreal. And we want them to have, a good group of leadership that's going to be stable. And those comments actually made me think, well, they're removing the A on Byron then, and they want stability. That's perhaps another sign that Byron is expendable and he'll be on his way out. That's what it sounded like to me. And that could actually make a bit of room up front if he manages to move him.
Yeah, it really depends what's going to happen. There could be some more moves coming here, right? Hard to say, but it's going to be a really big logjam. I don't think they're going to want to keep one of those young guys as the 7th D, eating hot dogs in the stands, right? So I think they'll identify somebody like a Schuneman or a Leskinen to be that 7th guy, and then I think going back originally, yes, they have talked about doing a carousel. but I also remember earlier in the summer he was saying that he wouldn't be super comfortable having three rookie defensemen in the lineup at any given time. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Talking about calling cards, I think Pinard has already left his calling card. They know exactly who he is. Everything being equal, I think they'd love to give a guy like that a chance on the fourth line, but you just have no room for the guy, right? So same thing with Ylönen. That was one of the biggest head scratchers from the Bergevin era for me. Is you have Armia that's about to expire, and you have Ylönen. I think they're kind of the same, value in terms of, like, not the same player necessarily. Like, Armia is more physical, but Ylönen's a right-handed shot. To me, it just seemed like the perfect succession plan to have Ylönen come in, take Armia's spot, but instead they decide to lock in the guy for 4 years or whatever it was. So it's going to be tough for Ylönen to find a spot. Very useful player, really speedy, has really good two-way play overall, and a bit like Lehkonen, like his finishing is not amazing, but we all know kind of what Lehkonen became, and even though his finishing wasn't amazing, right? So should be interesting. A lot of storylines to follow. So one other thing that Kenan wanted to mention is some other things to look out for this week outside of the rookie camp.
Yeah, actually, today is a big day for Mike Madison. He'll be doing his first public signing since becoming a Montreal Canadiens. It's at TW Sports Card, TW Memorabilia in Repentigny from 1 o'clock this afternoon. So if you don't fancy watching the rookie game, you can go and meet Mike Madison. For me, I'll be watching the game, and then I'll go after. If he's still there, good. If he's not, well, priority, gotta watch. But if you're interested in meeting Madison, that's where I'll be today at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, Mike Matheson seems like a great guy too. So excited to, in some of the pressers that they were doing after, you can see how excited he is to be here. So that would be a great guy to meet. So, Coach, what we'll invite to, we'll go into the Frenchie contest here in a minute. But
before we go there, I want to ask a question for Karine. Maybe you have something you can tell me this. I have picture of the Montreal Canadiens 1970 and colors, classy. What could be the value of this?
It really depends the state of that picture. Is it good quality? Is it messed up? Is it not?
It's top A1. I don't know if you remember. You was not born, but I was born. You have a newspaper. It's called the Dernier Heure. And every Sunday, they put a glassy color picture of any sport, like baseball, wrestler, and Patov did it, by the way. But it was hockey players like Guy Lafleur and everybody. It's all 1970, 71, 72. I have every one of them, and they still follow me. I go anywhere, I move everywhere. It's over 50 years now, and they are they are not turned. They are all perfectly great. But I was just curious. I never think about this, but the people said 50 years. Maybe you should think about this. I know it's not like 10,000, but I'm sure you have some value about those kind of picture.
Well, that's the kind of thing you need to take to a card show or take to specialists like ACA certification, and they'll tell you if it's worth anything. But anything is worth something to the right buyer. I mean, if you find some guy who's like a vintage collector, you'll be willing to pay big bucks for that. Personally, I prefer the more recent stuff. I like to collect guys that I've seen play. But I'm sure there'll be people who'd be in the market for those pictures for sure. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Next time there's a hockey card convention in Thailand, Coach, you should bring those.
I should do this on the corner. Maybe some people would be interested about this one. They told me
in the food market, like right next to the guy selling fish or whatever.
What is hockey? What is the hockey? I have to show them a picture what it look like. But anyhow, time for the Frenchie quiz contest, Mr. Marco. And let's dive in there and see what's happening. The Frenchie contest. It's every week we ask a question. You have to give us an answer below this Habs Brunch video recording, and then we pick one winner. And this week, the winner is Mr. Vinny James 007 is the winner of the episode number 1, nice. And of course, the winner win the contest. I tried to get it. The Elite Prospect Fantasy Guide for 2022. So you can get it. And this week we return again with the same gift we're going to give. But the question is, honestly, is going to be which rookie players will be invited to the Habs main camp. Of course, there are many right now you can give us, and then say we have many winner of the week. We're going to select one of them. We're going to give you the gift. We tell you that winner next week during the episode number 3. So please give us your comments about who's going to be invited by the Montreal Canadiens, the rookie prospect for the Montreal the Habs. This complete the French quiz contest. Let's finishing with a little bit what your expectation for the week for both of you.
Well, obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to be invited to the main camp, and I'm also looking forward to Tuesday because I've got the day off from my main job, and I'm going to go to the rookie camp to actually see firsthand what's going on that ice. So I'm really looking forward to that. And also next Sunday, it's the Habs Intra Squad game at the Bell Center. It's a great show, great place to bring the kids because it's $10 for any tickets. I've got tickets right by the rink. So I'm bringing my girlfriend's kid to his first hockey game, even though that's just, it's not going to be a big high contact one, but I think he'll be impressed just to get the slap shots in the boards. I think he's going to be shocked by how fast those pucks are coming. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
The players are always so great though too when they see kids are close and they'll kind of interact with the kids. The players are so generous when they see kids near the board, so that should be a great experience. The best seats I've ever had going to a game were right behind the bench next to Monsieur Béliveau. Actually, I was like sitting 2 seats away from him. That was pretty incredible to see the players kind of coming over the boards, like the excitement on their face, their desperation on their face. So such a great experience being close to the ice like that.
Awesome.
So yeah, this week.
Sorry about that, Marco. I just want to mention because I think Karen deserved it. She did another great job with us. Karen, where they meet you? They can meet you on Facebook, of course, Instagram, and Twitter at Karen HAINS, and then, of course, Karen at hockeybars.com by email, and follow her on the hockeybars.com. Anything you're thinking, Karen, you're going to write this week, or what you are, any already planification of your week about write some article?
Well, for sure. I started doing, I told you last week I'm always writing post-games blogs. I've decided that this year my post-game blogs are going to be called In Hindsight. Play on words with my name there. So I'll be doing that today. And for the rest of the week, it will be a watch of what's going on at the rookie camp. There'll be an article on Tuesday as well, live from the rookie camp. So that'll be fun. And yeah, just getting back in the swing of things and, the actual practices and all that. I'll be covering that. So yeah, it should be a very interesting week.
Marco?
Yeah, very exciting week. Looking forward to the main camp. I'll be still have my fingers crossed that something will happen on the trade front. A lot of rumors around Nils Lundqvist. So I just feel like they're still got to do something, right? There's just so many surplus of forwards. So I'll be looking for that, hoping that Hugo has one other kind of little card up their sleeve for us before the camp starts. So that's something I would look for. That would be interesting. I'll remind everyone, we'd love to hear, we cover a lot of topics here today, so we'd love to hear kind of how you graded a lot of the prospects, during the tournament so far. So share in the comments below, and of course, your predictions as to kind of who's going to be invited to the main camp from the rookie camp. And if you're watching this on the premiere, thanks for joining in the chat. Make sure to add a comment on the video as well with your answer so that you can qualify for the contest. So should be an exciting week, guys. If you're watching this live right now, it means that we're almost ready to watch the game, which will be at 12 p.m. So should be fun. Hopefully, you want to do one last check on Twitter, guys, to see if we have a roster update.
Yeah, I just did it.
Nothing there.
Doesn't look like it. Huh?
I just want to finish first to mention we are live all week at 9 o'clock Eastern Time p.m. For the HNL Tonight Show, and we have a guest from its friend website. A great guest talking about strength team, the Flame, the Oilers, the Jet, the Cane. And so it'll be an amazing, great week with all strength guests we got for the upcoming week. More to come at the end of the year, at the end of the month. We have Liam McGuire. Really recognize him as wrote a lot about the Summit Series 1972. He's going to be with us the last day when they played the last game at 50 years ago. So I can't wait to have him with us at the end of the month. So we want to thank Karen to helping us to find other guests during the weeks, and then you and Kevin Francis. So thanks again for helping the Hockey Nation show to grow. I wish you an amazing, great weeks, everybody, and I can wait to see you next week for another Habs Brunch, your Sunday rendezvous for episode number 3. Have an amazing, great weeks, everybody.